Hi, folks. Welcome to Firm Outlines. Part 2 on lawful or lawless. As we begin the second part of how many news stories does it take to make civil and sane law-abiding residents and citizens like us all in every one of our 50 states have to step back and realize that truth, facts, real, true-to-life events, and common sense are the basics of United States morals. You know, First Amendment rights, all of them, freedoms, and the rest of the United States Constitution and Declaration of Independence. How many news stories? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to part 2 of Lawful or Lawless. Now, let's see what Firm, our organization, has resurfaced and regurgitated just for your pleasure, hopefully, and information, of course, as always, for past and possible future stories of a humorous nature, which would be nice for all of us commoners, shall we? I'm not trying to put us down, ladies and gentlemen, but at the same time, we need to take action on a regular basis if we want to stay ahead of all of these deflectocrats and left-wing and some rhino right-wing idiots who think they know better how to control our lives. We're going to start first, folks, as you see the sign before you here on Title IX is law and the transgender situation that took place, which resulted in Maine's Governor Mills and her cronies in the hallways of the legislature and the House Speaker, Ryan Fecteau, having her censured. You recall Laurel Libby. But this, folks, you see up here was already posted several thousand times before Laurel Libby posted it. Oh, but just because she did, and she's a Republican, that's how this all happened. Garbage. She got her voice back, folks, as we all know. But now let's check out this particular news segment from Newsmax on transgender minors getting special medical assistance without parental consent. Yeah, still going on, folks. Check this one out. You know what? It's alarming and dangerous to all of our rights. We'll get right to that segment here in a moment, folks. A little bit of a delay here. But it is a segment from Newsmax on the transgender minors getting special medical assistance. It's still going on in many of our states, but it's quite ridiculous, folks. And we'll get to that story here in just a moment.
Is this something that could be on the table with the speaker? Something to bring back mental institutions? I don't care what you call them, but a place where people can get the treatment that they need so this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, we need to do that, Rob. Absolutely. We need to stop these doctors, these pediatricians that have gone for years now, that have taken 12 and 14-year-olds and convinced them that they should do the gender transition. They put them on hormones. They've mutilated their bodies. They've cut their breast off. They've cut their genitalia off. And a lot of these people were they were confused because they were going through puberty, and it's a natural thing. And they preyed upon them, and they convinced them that there was something wrong with them. And now they're in this position years down the road where they have legitimate psychiatric issues related to the stuff that they've been exposed to and the things that they've been told and the stuff that's happened to them. We have to do something about this. We have to treat these people. We have to get them off the streets, and we have to get them off the internet. We can't let them communicate with each other. I'm all about free speech, but this is a virus. This is a cancer that's spreading across this country that's going to do great damage to normal, hardworking, law-abiding people.
So there's that one, ladies and gentlemen, right there. And the next one that we're going to get to in another moment here has to do with the FCC and our free speech. Isn't that great? Yeah, our FCC, Federal Communications Commission, has been thrown under the bus by a majority of Democrats on the board. When the hell did this all happen? You kidding me? It's never ending, folks. It's never ending. So as you can see, our next one we have up here, folks, is our own version of Bad Samaritans. Yeah. Good thing we kept this one around so that you can see exactly what's going on in our country. Wolves in sheep's clothing. And as we part the curtain, you may say, there they are. Maybe in living color, folks. But they're the dirges and crap and dirt behind their title that should be Enemies of the State. And some of this information, some of their logos, you see, have been out in the rain lately because we've been out there protesting the protesters in Greater Central Maine here with my car and my organization that not only promotes firm, but also we the people. That's you, folks, on a daily basis. Yeah. And you know what's even interesting here, folks, as we look at some of the logos here, before we get into the video on this one and the report by the FCC, another content which came through on Newsmax as well. Just wanted to clarify that. You notice HBO is up here. Why is HBO up here? Well, because HBO is one of the first ones to become woke when it came to destroying vintage movies. Put language in where it shouldn't be. And of course, MSNBC, and which is now they call themselves MS Now. No, never were, is what it should be, and shouldn't ever be ever again. CBS has gone under the bus, sued by the Trump administration, first time around. CNN, you all know the culprit there. ESPN is a product of ABC and Disney. And, of course, the New York Times way down here and the Washington Post at the bottom, where they should be. Gross! And even though ESPN is the worldwide sports leader, they claim, lots of sportscasters, analysts even, have been thrown under the bus for not kowtowing and understanding that there are limits to free speech, or should say their free speech, when it comes to ESPN, ABC, and Disney. Garbage. Well, now here's the second one here, folks. The next topic of our regularly scheduled news program that we the people usually watch could be forcibly adjusted to your taste. Or should we say free speech and free choices on your remote control? Yeah? Well, here's what I'm talking about, folks. As we wait for that one to come up, we also want you, ladies and gentlemen, to be aware that Firm is on the job 24 hours a day, 7 days a week when it comes to podcasts such as these to keep you informed. We welcome your comments and your input. But now here's that report from CEO of Newsmax, Tom Ruddy. FCC lifting TV cap disaster for conservatives.
Radically reshape the TV and media landscape. Carr wants to remove the 39% cap on big TV networks, and if he gets his way, networks like ABC, CBS, and NBC, and liberal station groups like Nexstar are going to be able to own stations that'll reach most of America, meaning your local TV station could be owned by someone in New York City dictating what news you get to see no matter where you are. Right now, federal law prevents networks from owning stations reaching more than 39% of U.S. households. President Reagan started the cap in the 1980s. He set it initially at 25%. Reagan knew that if large station groups owned all the local stations, they'd be dictating your local news and, frankly, trying to help Democrats win elections. And for decades, the TV industry has tried to get rid of the caps for many reasons. We know they like political power. They also like making a lot of money. And you reduce competition and you increase prices, which makes perfect sense for them, but frankly, it doesn't for us. And connected to the cap issue is the possible Nexstar merger. Nexstar wants to buy Tegna and create the largest station group in the country, reaching 80% of U.S. households. Think about that. It's a bold move. Remember, Nexstar is a very liberal station group. They also own News Nation, another liberal cable network, like we need another one of those. News Nation's biggest host, Chris Cuomo, he's joined by other anti-Trumpers, including Ashley Banfield and Elizabeth Vargas. Take a look.
Hey, I'm Chris Cuomo. It's Thursday, and we are live with breaking news for News Nation's continuing coverage of the first indictment of a U.S. president in our history. Former President Donald Trump has made history once again. He made history by being twice impeached. Now he is the first indicted by a Manhattan grand jury. And it is safe to assume it likely involves payments made during the 2016 presidential campaign to silence claims of an extramarital sexual encounter with porn star Stormy Daniels.
And ladies and gentlemen, since Mr. Cuomo, way back there in 2017, 2018, said, "We assume," well, I'm going to spell it out. He won't like it, and neither will a lot of my colleagues, but you know what? It makes an ass out of you and me every time you assume something, because they hate the truth, folks. Just thought you ought to know.
Daniels.
Yeah, nice. So now Nexstar and News Nation want even more power. And joining us now for more on all of this is Chris Ruddy, the CEO of Newsmax. Chris, great to have you on tonight. Take us through what's going on here.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. I don't think I've ever been on set with you. We've been on quite a number of times together. And I was liking that Cuomo, he seemed to relish every mention of Trump being indicted. And, and I think that Newsmax and people like you, Rob, are about telling the facts. So I'm really glad that I could join with you tonight.
I appreciate that.
Big news. There was a filing today at the FCC by a very renowned legal expert, Brian Fitzpatrick of Vanderbilt Law School. He is a former Justice Scalia law clerk, very respected on the Constitution and legal analysis, and says the FCC's plan here, which they're moving towards doing, of eliminating this TV cap is illegal. It's a violation of federal law. The federal law had been set, and that they cannot change it. Only Congress can change it. So I think it's a very big development in this story, which is emerging.
A Scalia law clerk. Here's the exact quote. "Indeed, it is hard to see how the commission could raise Congress's 39% cap without running afoul of Congress's 2004 provision requiring any entity to divest when they exceed 39%. The commission cannot waive these statutory commands. Agencies are subordinate to Congress, not the other way around. If the commission doesn't like what Congress did in 2004, it should ask Congress to change it, not try and evade it." Has President Trump weighed in on this?
Well, I have not heard the president ever say anything about lifting the 39% cap. In fact, I've never heard him say that he wants TV networks to have more power and more control.
Right.
He's made it very clear that he would like the media to be held accountable by giving ABC, CBS, and NBC a free visa to basically buy stations in every market in the country. I don't think is a very Trumpian idea. And I think that had the FCC done this, Rob, 10 years ago, Donald Trump would have never been elected president. In fact, the Congress would not be, if people in New York were deciding what the local news in Pittsburgh was, or in Detroit, or a lot of local markets in Cleveland, they don't own those stations. Those are owned by independent station groups, and it gives a diversity and a lack of control. And it's a very dangerous thing what the FCC is promulgating, and I think could be a disaster for conservatives around the country.
That is such a good point. I've worked in 4 local markets.
And as you heard, ladies and gentlemen, it's not a very pretty picture. What the FCC wants to do, as compared to whether they have to go through Congress or not, or maybe just the president himself to make some kind of an executive order on this whole thing to stop this or extend this cap, having all kinds of nasty networks promoting, anything but the truth. So, in conclusion on this one here, folks, you see all the nasty people over there from the networks, all aware of them, I'm sure. That's what we're always about, folks. I think you know that all the time. We are firm. Fairness in the reporting media. Truth, facts, reality, and common sense. We're just going to put this one up real quick, folks, as you see it every single time when we sign off. We've got a final segment or a final statement we need to present to you, folks. We the people, meaning the entire United States of America, all 350 million law-abiding ones of us, continue to search for our specific and usual TV entertainment, news of the day, movies, political information. It seems that we cannot depend on the Federal Communications Commission to give us our free speech rights anymore, and so we must spend the majority of our free time after work, after dinner, supper, and late evening, or even overnight, the talk show and two-sided viewpoints, which there aren't anymore, and search forever for the best and most fair programming for us and our families, since 80%, as you heard, of the networks will be pre-chosen for us. The general American population centers, and especially rural states, with no choice either. Want to do something about this, folks? You, we, the people? Well, here's where you go. Your local dish or cable or corporate conglomerate in your viewing area, and demand under the First Amendment, by the way, to get your regularly scheduled news, sports, weather, movies, favorite sitcoms, dramas, and all, accessed with lower monthly rates, by the way, wink, wink, and to stop treating us like socialist pawns in this dangerous tech game of guess who's got the remote control now. Thank you for joining us, folks. Once again, Mark Merrill here, your host, as always, on FIRM, Fairness in Reporting Media, and contacting us anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, at fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com. As you see, fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com. In the meantime, folks, everyone stay safe. Pray for our newly elected officials coming into the year 2026, not too far away. Our pastoral leaders, not just our political leaders. Let's get into action and do something about this to save our country. Peace to all.